Oh boy, do we have a good one today, guys. So in this brief video, I want to cover why buying leads is a complete and total scam if you are a financial advisor. And quite frankly, in most cases, this is a scam regardless. But anyways, yeah, let me kind of get into not just why buying leads is a scam, why it's a horrible idea almost at any level to do, and what the alternatives are, and kind of the pros and cons of that. So, yeah, so let's get into why lead lists are a scam, right? Um, so I know a lot of financial advisors that go about buying lead lists, thinking that they're getting leads for cheap, thinking that, oh great, I buy this list 100, 300, 500 bucks depending on how many leads are on the list. It's going to be great. I'm going to hop on a lot of calls with people who are interested in the service, and it'll be fine. Well, that almost never happens. And if any of you guys have bought lead lists, you probably know this very, very well. Generally, lead lists are, I hate to swear, but they're really shit. Um, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, and this would be what I would say is the top reason why leads are horrible from the lead list that you buy from almost any company. They're almost never exclusive leads, right? So you're competing with every other client that company has ever sold to. So the leads that they're sending you more than likely have also gone to, dozens, depending on the size of the company, maybe even hundreds of other financial advisors before. Depending on whether or not, different lead list companies sometimes share leads so that they can claim they have a bigger pool. And you know what I mean? That's how a lot of companies have, we have lead list pool of 100,000 plus. Well, if a whole bunch of companies have those lists, it's because they're all sourcing and then coming together and then selling the same stuff to a different customer base, right? So there's a lot of that goes on. That ties into my next point. There's never really any accountability from where these leads are sourced from, right? So you don't know where these leads are coming from. You don't know if they're, just scraping people from LinkedIn. You don't know if, quite frankly, if they're just making up names and attaching them to emails and doing whatever else. So there's generally either a very, very vague system that they provide on their website or whatever else from how they source the leads. And, these leads are sourced from reliable company data that's been collected over a few years without ever sourcing anything or saying directly where these leads come from, right? Um, Very, very little accountability for where the leads come from, which then often leads to wrong information from outdated lists. So even if you were to find a lead list company that sold leads, morally, ethically, whatever else, didn't sell you any leads that they sold to any other agents, didn't pool with other lead generation companies, all that stuff, they're still probably going to have a backlog of a list of people that are, entered into that list from 5 years ago who may have changed emails. They may never use that email or may never use that phone number or whatever contact information is on there, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys who bought lead lists have called somebody up. Hey, is this Jim? No, I have no idea who you are, right? Not to mention the fact that if these leads are super old to begin with, and if they're giving you, they might just randomize the list and you might get leads from 10 years ago. Well, they're no longer even interested in the service or product in the first place. They probably found somebody or found a solution at least, and they don't need you. So lead lists almost never work. I'm not gonna go, I guess, a whole lot further on that front. If any of you guys want to try it and find out why lead lists are a scam, be my guest. I almost guarantee that you're gonna run into one of these issues, and anybody who's bought lead lists already knows this. So let's cover, because I don't want to talk too much about the bad. I want to talk more about the good and what the alternatives are, right? Because anyone can come up with a problem. It's a lot more difficult to come up with a solution, okay? So, what are some alternatives, right? Cold outreach would be the first one, okay? Cold outreach, where you can go find leads yourself, scrape them from maybe Facebook groups, LinkedIn, uh, knocking around door to door. There's a whole cold calling, cold email. There's a whole plethora of ways to do cold outreach, and I'm not going to get into every single method. That's not what this video is about. But it is one alternative method you could use to buying lead lists that could work. So, what are some of the pros of cold outreach? Well, number one, it's essentially free, right? So, I mean, if you're using a phone, you're going to have to pay for the phone. And sometimes there's softwares that you can buy for cold outreach that makes it a lot easier. But, most of the time, it's essentially free or very, very, very cost efficient. So, almost all the money that you make from your outreach and your marketing when you're doing cold outreach is nearly guaranteed profit because you're barely spending any money in the first place. Secondly, if you're just starting out, it helps to build your sales skills, which can be very, very valuable for a lot of financial advisors who are kind of new to the game. It allows you to put yourself in more of a low risk environment where you're able to talk to people and you're able to get the experience of actually, selling yourself and selling your services to people without there being a high risk of it's a lot easier to biff it on a call with a complete stranger who you just cold outreach to than it is to biff it on a call with somebody who's a really interested qualified lead on a sales call. You know what I mean? Like, it's better to learn when the call is lower quality and there's less chance of converting anyway than really messing up a big deal that probably would have closed, if you just done it right. So again, it can be very good for building those sales skills up so that when you finally get on those bigger calls and start, actually getting a client base, you have the skills necessary to do that. So honestly, cold outreach is a great place to start for financial advisors. This is where I started myself when I was starting my financial advising agency. There was a lot of cold calling involved, a lot of cold emailing, lots of cold outreach. Nothing wrong with cold outreach to start with. It's able to get you a few clients, get you off the ground, and can be very helpful. However, obviously there are cons to cold outreaching. So, although it is very great to start, if you're already making a decent amount of money, probably not a good idea to continue cold outreaching for a few reasons. Number one, it's extremely time consuming, right? In order to do it right, you're gonna be spending a lot of time. Like, you have to send out a lot of volume to really actually generate responses and generate clients. Takes a lot of practice, a lot of whatever. It's very energy draining. Like I said, you need an insane amount of volume to actually get it off the ground and to make it work. So it takes up a lot of time and it takes up a lot of energy too, right? A lot of emotional energy, sometimes constantly getting rejected. Like I said, it's a great way to start, but it's not easy and it's not sustainable, right? Part of the reason for that is cold outreach isn't really scalable. Um, I mean, you could scale it technically, like you could hire people to do cold outreach for you and whatever, but it's going to become even more time consuming the more employees you hire and whatever else to continue to do it. And when you could just automate, your outreach with one of these other methods that I'll get into in a second, it doesn't really make sense to, scale your marketing or your client acquisition this way, in my opinion. The other thing with cold outreach is it's hard to stay consistent and it's hard to stay organized, especially if you're doing it by yourself. But even if you're not, it's hard to keep employees consistent and it's hard to keep them organized. Very hard to keep them organized, right? So that's part of the other thing too. Is it can be very difficult because it's so time consuming, right? If you run into a lot of things you have to do in the day and you normally reach out to 100 people and that takes 3-4 hours, and now you've been stuck in meetings all day and it's 6 o'clock and you still have to reach out to people, then you're going to maybe run into a little bit of problems. Another thing as well is you run the risk of being, quote unquote, stuck in the trenches. And what I mean by that is you can get caught up so quickly, and this is the real danger, especially if you're already making a little bit of money. Um, if you continue to cold outreach and you continue to do this time and time again, because you're spending so much time outreaching and not enough time selling and not enough time fulfilling, you're going to get stuck in the trenches where you're not able to really grow, and you're going to find yourself month after month after month after month kind of in the same situation. And it's so easy to fall into this pattern. It's something that I definitely fell into when I was starting out. And I'm going to send a little bit more, cold outreach this month, or I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And you know, some months I would send less emails and make more money. Some I would send more emails and I would make less money, because it's a really unpredictable method of doing client acquisition, and it's very, like I said, very very hard to scale. So you can make decent money starting out doing this, but to do it long term, I mean, you kind of hit a ceiling with it pretty quickly once you figure it out and start to get successful. So okay, that's one alternative. What's an alternative even to cold outreach? Well, you also have search engine optimization, right? So what are some of the benefits of SEO? Now, you can actually get quite a few meetings booked in through your website. If you have a decent website, then you're able to get quite a lot of meetings booked through, whether you have a calendar app that's attached to the site, whether you just have a form that people fill out and then you contact them through there. If you're doing pretty good SEO, you get a lot of clicks per month, then there's a decent chance of you actually booking quite a few meetings through your site. SEO, real quick, for those who don't know, search engine optimization is meant for, well, exactly how it sounds, optimizing your place on search engines, mainly on Google. So when people, Google, let's say you're based out of Charlotte and people Google Charlotte financial advisors, ideally your website is optimized to be the very, very first website at the top that people see, right? Now, to do SEO, it's generally reasonably priced and it's pretty stable. The prices don't really fluctuate per month. You can kind of get consistent results with it and whatever else once it gets going and it kicks in. So that's another pro too, is it's can be a very stable form of client acquisition and outreach. However, there are definitely some cons. Um, the first that I find that nobody really talks about is you kind of need to be a little bit already established locally in your area. And the example that I'll give for this, um, my grandfather runs a local, just kind of basement epoxy company and whatever. And I know some guys who are a little bit younger who do more or less of the same thing in the city, who really struggle to get work. My grandfather does not struggle to get any work at all. Part of the reason for that is, and he said this, and it really kind of struck me and stuck with me, was he could have the exact same experience, the exact same skill set, the exact same prices, and everything else be the exact same as a guy who was 25. People would pick my grandfather because they were older. He was older. He had been in the business longer, and people just perceived him as being more knowledgeable and able to get the job done more than the younger guy, even if they had the exact same skill set. And there's a lot of guys that are probably like that already, established locally in your area, where they're getting a lot of referrals from, Billy Bob is telling his friend, oh, I use this guy and oh, he's really good. And he's known in the community, he's known in the town and kind of the go-to guy. If you're that guy and you do SEO, you'll crush it, you'll kill it. But if you're not that guy, you're kind of a little bit newer, you're starting out, whatever, and you have to make a name for yourself, it's hard to compete against that guy, especially with SEO. The other thing too is there's constant competition for placement, right? So you're going to need to continue to spend and continue to spend, and the month that you stop spending, all the results, they drop off. Everything's done. Like as soon as you stop spending, your website no longer isn't top ranked, and other people move into that top spot that you were in, and they start taking all your leads. The other thing is SEO I find takes 6 to 12 months to start being really effective, where you start seeing all of the results from it, right? So it takes a while to continue to optimize your website, continue to compete against the other websites, get that top placement or that placement that you're looking for. That's a process that takes quite a long time for you to start seeing those stable and consistent results. The other thing too is you can't really scale. I mean, the top result of page one, that's your ceiling. Like, you can't go any further than that. That's as high as you can get on the SEO ladder. There's no more that you can do other than, top result of page one. That's your ceiling. So it's very, very difficult to scale SEO. And I mean, once you nail it, great, you got it and you'll be consistent with it. But you can't really scale that much past that. Now, moving on, the next alternative method that we have is lead generation, okay? So what are some of the pros of lead generation? Well, you can, and specifically I'm talking about social media lead generation, not lead generation through lists or anything else. I'm talking about generating leads through social media. Okay. Well, one, you can see results within the first month. So unlike SEO, it doesn't take quite as long to be effective, and you're able to actually like get leads within an hour that the campaign goes live, right? So you're able to really start seeing results and start seeing a lot of results and even profitability within the first month. Secondly, you can build additional systems around lead generation to increase, key performance indicators and also your return on ad spend. So you can build things like email campaigns, text campaigns, have outbound appointment setters that call for you. There's a whole bunch of systems that you can design around lead generation, as well as in lead generation, especially through methods like Facebook and Instagram, where they show quite a few statistics, and it's very easy to go in and actually improve the performance and quality of your ads as well to begin with. That will increase your key performance indicators and in turn increase the return that you're getting on your ad spend. Second thing is it's extremely easy to scale, right? There's no ceiling to how much you can spend and how many leads that you can generate on Facebook. There's accounts that are spending, and I know guys who are spending, $1 million a year on Facebook. Like, they're literally spending $1 million. There are guys who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on social media ads because they've figured out a way to scale it and make it profitable, and there's no ceiling. So if there's more money in it, if it makes dollars, it makes sense, right? So again, very easy to scale. All you have to do is click a button, spend more, and that's it. No ceiling. Also, and this is the key one, right? That makes lead generation through social media different from lead generation through a lead list. The leads are exclusive and they're accessible at any time. Not only that, I should have added this as well. The leads are also interested in your service right now, and you know that because they just filled out your form. So these leads filled out your form. So unless you're giving out, your form and the leads that filled out your form to a whole bunch of other people and selling your leads or doing whatever else for whatever reason, those leads are yours and yours exclusively. They filled out your form, interested in your service, wanting to know about you. Again, you have their email, phone number, whatever other contact information that you want to get from them, and that's accessible at any given time for you to do remarketing, email campaigns, text campaigns, give them a call, whatever you want to do, that's accessible for you at any time. Also, lead generation is resilient across multiple platforms, right? You can generate leads on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So when one platform goes down or one platform has issues, you're able to source from multiple avenues. And if imagine a stool that has four legs, right? If you're able to have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever, if you got four legs on the stool and you take off one, you got to be very careful. You can still sit on it. You want to get that fourth leg fixed, but you're going to be okay for a little while, right? So whereas if you just have just a lead list company that you buy from, or you're just doing SEO, and your SEO channel goes down, and all of a sudden prices go way up, you can't afford to be with the competition, you're done. right? Or again, the leadless company that you go from goes out of business, right? You're done. That's it. That's your only source. You need to diversify the sources from which you actually get your leads to begin with. The second thing as well, um, that's a huge advantage, especially compared to SEO, is with lead generation, the results that you get, right, are when you stop paying, you still have all of the leads that you got from lead generation, right? So you still have a whole giant lead pool that you when you do SEO, that's it. Everything kind of stops, right? When you do lead generation, you have a giant lead pool. Okay. Now, that being said, there are still cons to lead generation. One of them is that it can be hard to stay liquid. You're constantly spending cash. Generally there's daily budgets, especially on Facebook or whatever. This was an issue that we had for sure. So staying liquid can be something that is difficult. You need to have a deep understanding of marketing and online advertising to really maximize your return on ad spend. So that's something that's difficult, especially for a lot of financial advisors who, they're just, you do good work, but you're not a social media expert. That's not what you got your certification or degree or whatever else in. It's not what you went to go study. You went to go study finance. You didn't go to study marketing. At least most of you, I'm speaking with a broad stroke, of course. But it's very difficult to sometimes understand the market and online advertising and how that works, and that can take away from the actual service and fulfillment of your business and result in a lower uh, quality service that your customers right now are getting, right? So it's very hard to balance those things. The other thing as well is the lead response rate can be extremely low if the follow-up procedure is poor. So again, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you have a poor uh, follow-up procedure, you're going to have a poor response rate from the leads, and that's going to make your ROAS go down as well. And leads slip through the cracks if you don't understand how to manage your audience. So if you don't know how to actually follow up with your leads, if you don't know how to, remarket through email, text, whatever else, and not just learn lead generation and learn online advertising, now on top of it, learn remarketing and learn all these other email campaigns, text campaigns, appointments that are so on and so forth, it becomes even more difficult and more and more leads slip through the cracks. So that's sometimes a problem with lead generation is people try it thinking they're getting into one thing, and then the further and further and further they get along, the more they realize the more they have to know, and that's why so many people give up. So how have we gone about kind of fixing the cons of lead generation, right? Because I think taking a look at these three systems, right? And I've experimented with each one personally in my own business. And from my personal experience and the experience that I've had with all the clients that I've worked with, lead generation 100% is the way to go. Lead generation 100% is where the best results are found. So how do we get, the benefits of all of this and mitigate the cons, because there's some real concerns in here? Well, we've developed our exclusive lead system to do exactly that. Now, first off, and here's the important one, um, we get low lead costs due to instant integration from years of past successful campaigns. So we've been running, lead gen ads for the better part of 2 or 3 years now, and we've been able to have a lot of successful campaigns. We know what works, and we've got a lot of results to show. Right, here's one of our campaigns. We did 622 leads off of, I don't exactly know the math on that, but we were getting less than $5 a lead Canadian. Uh, this was another campaign that we ran for the month of July, where we were able to get 97 leads at $7.23 American cost per result. This is another Canadian lead generation campaign where we were able to actually get 238 leads in the span of a couple weeks. We were getting leads for $1.37 a pop, which is just insane. This has definitely been our best performing campaign. We're looking to break it under $1 right now. One of the ad sets that we were doing was under $1, so we're looking to get the other one below that. and generate some more leads that way. Our client is obviously very happy with this, looking to continue to scale further and spend more and attain more leads. And then here's another campaign that we did as well. Over the span of about 2 months, we were able to get 188 leads for $3.96, so just under $4 Canadian as well. So obviously, yeah, we've been able to actually get low lead costs due to our past successful campaigns and what we've learned through there, and we're able to actually integrate that to a lot of the different audiences, ideas, copy, and creative aspects directly into our clients' campaigns, which gives them a huge jumpstart and a huge advantage on pretty much everybody who starts, running lead gen ads on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Now, we also have lead nurturing systems that ensure that no leads slip through the cracks. So we've developed a variety of different email campaigns, text campaigns, as well as we also have appointment setters that are designated that call up these leads, right, that you get. So after a while, let's say they don't respond to the email campaign, they don't really respond to the text campaign. There's somebody representing our clients on the phone, representing us as well, on the phone, calling leads up and saying, hey, are you interested in this service still? Is this still something you want? Would you like to get on a phone call with such and such? Perfect. They set the appointment, and you're able to make sure that you mitigate the amount of leads that slip through the cracks. Our hybrid strategy is resilient across multiple platforms, so it mitigates the highs and lows of good and bad months to provide consistency. Now, the way that we do that is we advertise on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. TikTok's a big one right now that I've talked about extensively in a lot of other videos. But advertising across multiple platforms means, let's say Facebook has a down month, well, you still have Instagram and TikTok to keep it up, or vice versa. If TikTok has a bad month, you still have Facebook and Instagram to kind of prop it up. So it makes, instead of, if you're just advertising on Facebook, maybe you have a really good month and you get like really a lot of responses, but then the next month is horrible, and the next month is even worse, and then the next month's even better than the first one, right? And you get these highs and lows, which make it very hard to be consistent, to predict how much income you're making or how many calls you're going to be on per week or how busy you're going to be. So we mitigate that by advertising on multiple platforms. So yes, there's still obviously some months are going to be better than others, but instead of being separated like this, they're going to be separated like this, because if one platform doesn't do well or does better, it's not quite as devastating an effect one way or another as if you're only advertising on one platform. So that's a big part of our strategy as well. We also help people gain exposure to TikTok and start building an audience and brand long term. And eventually people start gaining leads organically simply through that audience and brand by posting content, because the TikToks and the Instagram Reels and whatever else that we use for advertisements, that we use for posts, also can double as advertisements. So you're able to kind of go back and forth between the two. And as you get more exposure on the platform and as your audience start to grow, people will just simply see your content organically as it's pushed in the algorithm. And you're going to get leads through DMs on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well, which just increases the amount of leads that you get and feeds into this flywheel effect that I cover here, where successful videos become viral paid ads, which decreases lead costs. So if you have a video that pops off on TikTok or pops off on Instagram, we take advantage of that. We integrate it into the ad system, make it a paid ad, which will go viral and do better than other paid ads simply because it was already viral before it was even paid. Now you're boosting that because it did well. Again, that's going to decrease lead costs. It's going to get more leads coming through DMs and all that other stuff. And it ends up becoming a flywheel effect where this exclusive lead system improves on itself with time as you stay longer in the system. Lead costs go down, KPIs go up, and you end up not only generating more leads, but converting more of them as well. Also, we have low effort, done for you scripts, which means TikTok takes 5 minutes a week, right? Because you guys, we understand, aren't content creators. These are edited by our team and gain triple the amount of actual outreach from Facebook and Instagram Reels as well. So I'd be more than happy to actually send you guys some of our done for you TikTok scripts that we've had that have been super successful, blown up on the platform. If you'd like that, feel free to shoot me a DM. Like I said, for our goal on TikTok is to get 95% of the benefits from the platform while only putting in about 5% of the work. We do that by leveraging paid ads as well as posting weekly content. But we don't want our guys to be content creators. We want them to be focused on getting on sales calls and actually serving their clients, which is why we do everything, edit the videos, all of that great stuff. And we also take advantage of the fact that Instagram and Facebook are introducing TikTok-like features with Reels, and we post on there as well to get triple the amount of engagement that you would normally get. So as leads build up, audiences receive revival campaigns, activating leads from months ago to increase appointments per month. So I'll give the example of, when I was very first starting my business, one thing that really saved me was the fact that I had, and I covered this in my case study that I did. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. Very insightful video. And in that case study, part of what I broke down was, as I was getting leads, I built up a list of about 500 leads. And part of what I was able to do is leads that had came in, because I ran this campaign for about 6 months to get my first 10 clients. Leads from month one that never responded. There were a couple people who, were in my system month one who maybe just weren't able to pay. They just weren't quite at a place where they were quite ready to start yet. I was able to revive them by just simply shooting them a phone call, 5 months down the line, or in some cases as well now, we shoot emails and texts and reactivate those old leads in the campaign, which means the more and more and more leads you get, the more your audience builds, the more people you have to remarket to. And a lot of these leads that you get, you're able to continue to generate more appointments and meetings just from the audience you've built out. So you can see how this flywheel effect really, really, really starts going the longer that you actually stay within the exclusive lead system. Again, not only the more leads you generate, the bigger the audience pool is, which means the more remarketing you can do, the more appointments you can set, and your KPIs go up as we figure out what content's working, what remarketing is working, whatever else. So you're able to get a higher response rate. So again, it's a triple threat where you get more leads to start with, then you get more appointments set through better KPIs, and you get a bigger audience to remarket to, and that funnel just really opens up and allows all those leads to come in and really drastically increases the amount of clients that you're able to sign from the system. As well as that, there's a designated appointment setter that sets calls for you in the exclusive lead system so that you don't have to reach out and can spend all of your time selling, scaling, and fulfilling for clients. So I already kind of went over that. We have designated people who go on, call these leads for you. So they're not only getting reactivation emails and texts, they're also getting calls, trying to get them set on appointments with you so that you can actually make them a client and sell them on your service. So that is what we do to mitigate the bad effects of lead generation and make our exclusive lead system extremely powerful with the flywheel effect. It just gets better and better over time. You can see it from our results here that I shared with you below. So yeah, hope this video was insightful for you guys. It ended up being a little longer than I planned for it to be. So if you've stuck to the end, I really appreciate you and I thank you for that. If you have any questions on our exclusive lead system, please feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a DM. I would be very happy to answer any questions or concerns or comments that you guys have, as well as if you'd like some of the free TikTok scripts to get started, get on TikTok, please reach out to me and I will make sure that we get those off to you. And if you haven't seen why TikTok is important to be on and why you need to be on the platform, please check out my other video that I made on why TikTok is important and how you can start getting on the platform. Other than that, Hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will be back with another banger sometime soon. Bye bye.